Welcome to the She Builds Show. I'm your host, Stefanie Olson, a licensed general contractor who builds new construction, renovates, and designs your vision. Today, more than ever, we need raw, authentic women who are willing to rise above society's norms, break those glass ceilings, and encourage each other to boldly build the life we were meant to live. So, honey, what are you building? All right, you guys, welcome to the She Builds Show. Today, I have the most fun guest. Her name is Giovanna, and we met on an airplane, no joke. And we just kind of hit it off, and we're talking to each other back and forth between the seats, and it was super amazing to get to know her. And I'm so excited to have you here. So welcome to the show.
Yay, thank you for having me.
Of course. Giovanna, give us just a little background. So just to not spoil everything, you're in flipping, like you're doing flipping, you're running a flipping business. So give me a little background of like what led up to that. How did you get into this?
So before I even had the idea to do this, my background is in accounting. So I went to school, my major was accounting. Then I moved on to grad school, got my MBA, concentration in accounting, and pretty much started working right away. I did that for a few years. Wasn't really loving it, but knew it was like, okay, I got my degree in this, so this is what I'm going to do for the rest of my life. This is just the path that I'm on. So whether I love it or not, this is just my career now.
Right.
And then my husband and I, we grew up in New York. We were born and raised on Long Island. And we decided after we got married, we were going to move to Texas. His parents had lived here for about 10 years. And then so we were like, okay, we're going to pick up and move. We're going to try something new. So after moving, I said to my husband, like, I don't really think I want to do accounting, anymore. New state, new me. Like, I want to figure out something else that maybe gives me a little bit more freedom that I can go fly and visit my family when I need to, or, just not having to take those days off work. Something that's more just like based around me, a little more flexible. So I was doing all this research. What can I do? What can I do? A little soul searching, a little deep dive into like what makes me happy and what I would be good at. And then I was like, you know what? Like, why can't I do house flipping? We had sold our house in New York, moved to Texas. We were living with my in-laws for a little bit until we got settled. So we had some extra money. And I was like, you know what? Like, I think I could do this. I started doing research, and that was pretty much it. He was super supportive of it. And, I haven't looked back since. Haven't stepped foot in an office, just been doing this, figuring it out and plugging along.
That's incredible. And I think we instantly connected because just of my background in accounting as well, and how it really is the foundation of any good deal. Like, you have to be able to run numbers, and you have to be able to assess and know your way around a spreadsheet. And just, not saying that nobody with that background can flip houses. Of course they can, but it really does kind of give you a leg up that you feel comfortable around numbers.
Yeah, for sure. And, like you said, with the spreadsheets are like my favorite thing. You should have seen when I was planning my wedding, I had like a 10-page spreadsheet. All the sheets were linked. They had formulas, like everything was color coded. So that is like where I am living in my happy place. If I'm budgeting or analyzing or putting together a spreadsheet, that's, a little bit of like accounting creativity, if you will.
Yeah.
So
and I think really that's why they go really hand in hand, and why I think it was also like a draw for me was, oh, this is actually what I do every day. And it's something that I enjoy, but it's like real life. And it has to do with my, ability to make money versus like, I'm just trying to do a spreadsheet to do your tax return or make your books right or whatever. It was way more exciting than just
for sure,
entering data in QuickBooks or something.
Yeah. And then another little fun fact was me and my husband got married in 2020. So our wedding was booked like right in the middle of the pandemic. So like a month before my wedding, my venue was like, listen, like we can't do it anymore.
Oh, gosh.
So I was like, oh, no. And they were like, we could reschedule you, but you wouldn't be getting married until 2022. So that was like 2 whole years away. I was like, no. So I figured the whole thing out. I replanned it to be in my backyard. I hired like, whoever I needed to hire to come in to like make a party happen, because I was like, I'm marrying you on this day because this day is important to us and I don't want to wait another 2 years.
Right.
So for me doing that, it was like a project management role, because when you book out a venue, you think you have everything. You have food, you have linens, you have
Tables,
like
chairs, food, yeah, everything.
a bathroom, like everything. So that was my project. It was like I had a budget, I had a spreadsheet, I had to coordinate who was going to show up at what time, exactly what I expected of them. I had to like replan it, make sure we stayed within our budget, make sure, everybody, I had my contracts with all my vendors. So I'm like, you know what? That's pretty similar. Like when you're flipping a house, you are in a project management role. Mm-hmm. You're budgeting, you're hiring, you're making sure things are moving according to plan. You're picking out like finishes. So I was like, you know what? I told my husband, if I could replan a whole wedding from soup to nuts in a month without going over budget and like having it work out smoothly, I'm like, I'm pretty sure I could do the same thing with, flipping a house.
Yeah.
So that was like a little confidence booster that if I could do that, then what's a house?
Yeah, exactly. So then you went from having your job. What did you do to gain the knowledge? Because even though they're similar in, a wedding and a house, construction is different.
Right.
And how did you gain the knowledge? Was there something that you did specifically that kind of like jump-started? Did you take a course? Did you read a book? What did you do to help yourself kind of lessen that gap?
Yeah. So first I started following people on Instagram that were like real estate investors that posted little, like nuggets of information on their pages. I started watching a lot of YouTube videos on it, listening to podcasts, like absorbing everything that I could. And I had a whole like notebook that I had, was taking notes on everything. And then there was somebody that I came across on Instagram who did a mentorship program. And that was kind of like what brought it all together for me. Like everything that I had been learning every day, my husband would go to work and I'd pull out my laptop and I would just study all day. I mean, I went through a master's program, so I know how to study. Like if there's one thing I could do, it's study.
Yeah, like
after all of those years in school. So that's pretty much what I did all day, every day. And then that last little bit of mentorship was to bring it all together, to wrap it up, bring it all home, and really give me that last push to like start doing it, to get out of like the analysis paralysis where you're just reading, just like studying, looking. How much more information can I accumulate before I feel ready to do this? At some point, you just have to go. You just have to do it. So,
right. Can I ask more details about like the mentorship program and who it was and how much it cost? Because I'm sure that there's people out there that are like, there's so much offered today that it's hard to know, like, is this particular thing worth it? And was that your case? Like you were like, I would do that. That was definitely the right step for me. And I would highly suggest it. Or was like, I don't know.
I would highly suggest it. Like the mentorship that I did, his name is Jake Light. I found him on Instagram, which my husband was very skeptical. He's like, who's this guy on Instagram? We're going to pay him to teach you how to flip houses. And I was like, no, I really have a good feeling about it. It was expensive. I'm not going to lie. It was pricey, but I just had a really good feeling. And there were so many people that had really good testimonials coming out of his mentorship program. So I did that. It took me a couple months to get through all of the material, but it was 1000% worth it. I still have direct access to him all the time. He is my mentor for life. So I will shoot him an email, whatever, and he sends me like a whole Loom like message of him like going into my deal, like checking out whatever I sent him, whatever attachments I have on my email. He pulls up all his information and we kind of just go through it together. So he is like my mentor for life and he's been super helpful. I think everything that I got out of his mentorship was, I 100% recommend it, hands down. If you could find a really good mentorship, specifically Jake's program, I'm an advocate for because that is the program that I went through, but anybody who you feel comfortable with, that's going to give you what you want out of it.
Right. And I think a lot of times people, you pay for something like that and then you don't end up with direct access to somebody like actually helping you and follow through and like, I actually want to do this. So the fact that he is helping you analyze deals, there's most likely the probability that you would have been stuck just, analyzing deals probably for a longer period of time without somebody going, yes, this works, and giving you the confidence.
Yeah. Yeah. So basically I'll have my whole deal analyzed. I'll have my like investor proposal, like all typed up with like charts and graphs and numbers and all of the things.
He probably just like loves you.
Yeah. And then he looks at it and he's like, yeah, this is a really good deal. Or he'll be like, maybe run your comps again. I'm not coming up with the same number as you for your ARV. So he's very honest. He's very transparent. He asks good questions to like really get your mind going. Like, oh, I didn't think of it that way. But, Jake said, maybe look at it this way. So, it's been a blessing to have him as a mentor. I'm really happy I pulled the plug and did it because I wouldn't be, where I am in like my business journey if it wasn't for him and like what I've learned from him and the push that he gave me.
How did you actually get to doing your first deal? Where was it? Walk me through it. What was it like? I just want to know what it felt like to do it, to purchase it. And, because I know that you've finished and closed a couple already, right? So just kind of walk me through that first deal.
So the first one, oh my gosh, I remember like when I first started putting in offers on places, I was like freaking out. I was like, oh my God, I put in an offer. But now it's like I put in so many offers. It's so crazy to look back and like to think how like jazzed I was about like putting in that first offer.
And really now you understand that an offer is absolutely means nothing.
It means nothing. Meanwhile, like my husband would come home from work for lunch and he's like, what did you say? But like, oh my gosh, I put in an offer on a house. But now it's like, I do it. I just send these offers like they're nothing. But it was really funny to look back. So the first house I got was actually the second offer I ever put out.
Okay. So and where was it?
It happened really quick. It was in Memphis, Tennessee. It was a cute little house. It was, in pretty rough shape. It had been vacant for like 3 years.
How did you find it?
I found it just on Redfin. I was just zooming in on maps, like looking for trends, looking for, like a cluster of homes with like a certain price point and then maybe one or two that was super low. So I was just looking for something that stood out to me. And the only reason I started looking in Memphis was actually because I had a really great conversation with this lender, like a hard money lender that I was, reaching out to all these different places to see what their terms were. And she had recommended me to an agent in Memphis. She was super helpful. She was like, I love that you're doing this. I was on the phone with her. I was like, thank you so much. Like, it's so nice to speak to like a woman lender. Not that it really means anything, but I was so new and I was so scared that it just felt like comfortable talking to her. So we were on the phone for like over an hour and she was hyping me up. She's like, you're going to do great. You're killing it. Don't worry. You're going to do fine. So she had recommended me to this real estate agent in Memphis. So that's what had me looking there. So I was just, looking for trends. And then I think it came up on like a suggested, like I saw like a picture of it and it just looked ugly. And I was like, perfect.
That's exactly what I need.
That's exactly what I need. So I looked at it. I ran all my comps. I did my analysis on it. And I was like, I think this could really work. So the agent
what was the purchase price?
Purchase price was $135. Okay. It was on the market for $125, but with my numbers, I knew that I could get it for $135 and still have it be a really good deal. And I wanted, my offer to be taken seriously.
Was it on the market for a very short period of time? Or was it like...
I want to say it was on the market for just a couple days.
Okay. So it hadn't been sitting or anything.
Yeah. So
there were multiple offers?
I don't know if there was multiple offers.
You didn't get a counter offer or anything?
No, I didn't get a counter offer. They just accepted.
Oh, okay.
So the agent that I had been hooked up with, he was actually like, I think away or something. So I was like really wanting to put an offer in. So I just went on Instagram and I looked up the hashtag Memphis Realtor. And I was just like, I was just looking through and then I saw this woman with like a beautiful smile and she looked so happy and cheerful. And I was like, she looks so sweet. I'm going to call her. So she had her number in her bio and I was like, hi, my whole spiel. Like I'm a real estate investor. Looking to put an offer on a property. So that was it. She put in the offer and then we got accepted. And then I was like, I was like, I am nauseous. What do I do now?
Right.
Wasn't expecting it to happen so fast, but that was how I got the first one. And then after that comes, okay, I have to get a bunch of contractors in there because I gave my earnest money. I had a certain amount. I had 7-day inspection period. And so I'm like, okay, I have to get at least 3 or 4 different contractors in there to give me a price, give me an estimate, let them know like what I'm planning to do with it and just see what everybody comes back with. So I got a handful of quotes. They were all roughly the same. So I felt good about it. I was like, okay, if somebody, I hire somebody and they can't do it, at least I have these backups that are right around the same price. So I went with the guy who was actually the most expensive out of the lot, but he has experience working with real estate investors. So I was able to use his real estate investor clients as references to call to see, how his work was, if he's on time, if he's on budget. So that made me really comfortable. And also he's familiar with the draw schedule with hard money lenders,
right?
Not taking a deposit upfront, which I feel like is hard to kind of convince a contractor to like not take money upfront and explain the process of a draw schedule to them.
Right.
But he was already familiar with that. So I was like, okay, perfect. Let's just work together.
You made 135. And then what was your remodel, fixed budget?
95.
95. So you were going to put almost $100,000 into it. Did you, in how much of your own money did you put in the deal?
Of my own money, I think I put just over 20,000. I think it was like 21 and change into the deal.
And you put that just in escrow. It wasn't for construction or anything like that. So you funded all of the rehab.
Yeah. So all of the rehab was funded. It was 100% of the rehab costs were funded. And then 90% of the purchase price was funded. Okay. So that little 10% is what I came out of pocket with. And then, the closing costs and whatever, and that came out to just over 20,000.
Okay. And then how did it go? Did you end up staying in budget?
Yeah, we stayed right on budget. It was like pretty much to the T. I think we went over $1,000, but that's only because they had to fix something with the plumbing that was unexpected once we like got into the walls. I think the plumbing was just laid like on the floor, like inside the wall. So they had to like put it up into the 2x4s.
Got it.
So, and then I think I just added, instead of doing a single vanity in the bathroom, we did a double vanity. So it was a little extra charge to like add the extra plumbing, but that was it as far as like over budget. So,
okay. Like and then how did it go? Like, will you share what you made on that deal?
Yeah. So actually this was my first one and it went on the market a month ago. So I got a handful of offers on it, but they were all creative finance offers, which I wasn't interested in taking. And that shows me that maybe they're trying to use it as a rental. And then I had a handful of Airbnb people come and I was thinking like, if everybody is looking at this for a rental or an Airbnb, then why don't I just keep it?
Right?
So I'm like, I already figured out the hard part of how to flip the house.
Right.
Why not just kill two birds with one stone and figure out how to Airbnb as well, which is like, a very good way to build wealth and cash flow and all of that good stuff. So that is where I'm at right now. I am in the process of doing a cash out refinance on it.
Okay.
I'm just waiting for the appraisal to come back to see, how much I can actually take out,
right? Which
the numbers are really good. Like everything sells pretty high in the area. And I felt very comfortable with my assessment of it at the beginning. I also had my mentor analyze it and give me his number. And then my hard money lender on top of that to lend on the deal, they had to tell me what they thought it was going to be worth. So I had 3 confirmations of this after repair value. So I'm pretty sure that, doing the cash out refinance, I'll be close, if not like right on.
Right. So then are you going to move forward and make it into an Airbnb?
Yeah, I think so. I'm so nervous and I'm like so scared, but this is how I felt when I first started, flipping. Mm-hmm. And I'm already now onto my second flip. And the second one is like a no-brainer. Like it feels like I'm already feeling very comfortable doing it compared to how I was at the beginning. Yeah. So I'm like, okay, now this is just how it's going to be. I'm just going to feel nauseous with the Airbnb thing until I do it. And then I won't feel nauseous anymore.
I totally get that. Cause I just finished, I think when we met, I was like working on a couple of ours and we have 4 now, but I was putting for some reason, August, I decided let's do 3 of them in 1 month, which was stupid. And, that's been like almost a month and it's like nerve wracking. Anything I do, anytime I put a house on the market, anytime I do anything, even if I've done it before, like if I fixed a house, if I built a house, if I flipped a house, every time I put it on the market, I want to throw up because I'm like, nobody's going to like it. Yeah. Nobody's going to buy it. It's going to sit on the market forever. Nobody's going to rent it. Like, I'm just so doubtful of myself, which is so stupid. And like, thank God for my husband that he's always just like, babe, like, why do you do this every time? So I don't know. It doesn't like I'm a little further along than you and I still feel that way. So don't feel bad. It's totally normal.
And honestly, thank God for my husband too. He's like my grounding, like thing in my life. Anytime I get all worked up and he's like, it's okay. Like, you're doing fine. You're doing great. Like, it's going to be fine.
I
Like,
know.
don't get stressed out. And I'm like, okay. I'm crying. Like, it's fine. I'll figure it out.
Right? Absolutely.
Yeah.
I totally get it. And you are. And honestly, like doing the Airbnb was super fun. And like my most favorite thing now, which is so ridiculous, is to like check my bank account because like people like they just send you money and you're like, yes, this is awesome.
Yeah, exactly. Exactly.
So, but you have to like, after you get the furniture, and I would just say like, don't go overboard on the furniture. Don't overspend on the furniture. Stick to a budget. You know, you have a creative mind and I'm sure you're going to be incredible. And I think that that was my determining factor. Like when I started flipping, it was like, this is not your house. Do not like do anything that you would like in your own house. This is a business deal. And same thing with like Airbnb. It was like, this is not your house. You do not put like stuff in it that you want. Like you have to separate it. And I think that was probably just like another reminder for myself that I'm like, you can't go overboard on the furniture, but you have to like spend money on the things that matter, like a good coffee maker and good mattresses. And, you know, you don't want bad reviews. And the reviews are nerve wracking also.
Yeah, for sure. There's so much. It's like the unknown, but it's like anything worth having is probably not going to be the easiest. So it's like just plugging along, getting it done, figuring it out. Like a year ago, I didn't know how to flip a house.
Yeah.
And I did. And now I'm already on my second one. And, you know, right now I don't know how to do an Airbnb, but I'm going to figure it out and I'm going to study and I'm going to, you know, ask questions to the people I've made connections with that have done Airbnbs. And like, if it's out there and people are doing it, there's no reason that I also can't figure it out and do it and make it work.
Absolutely. Yeah. Have you read the Short-Term Rental, Long-Term Wealth? It's by Avery Carl. It's like it's a really small little book. And it was like a collaboration between her and Bigger Pockets. And I'm sure you know Bigger Pockets, but she has an entire real estate company. It's called the Short-Term Shop. And she only has agents that help investors purchase short-term rentals. And then she has the short-term, what does she call it? The mortgage shop. So she has a mortgage company that lends towards short-term rentals.
Oh, wow. Okay. That's great to know. I'm going to have to check that out.
Yeah.
Is that on Amazon?
Yeah. You can get the book on Amazon. And then I'm pretty sure she has a podcast and a YouTube channel as well. Her information is just really helpful, really straightforward. She's all about picking the right areas and the right markets, and then really self-managing those Airbnbs from the get-go. Because if you just, you know, stick it, because I have Airbnbs that are not in my location, and she really helps you set up a system where you're not feeling like you have to be there physically, you know, but if you hire a project management company, then you're going to end up, all of your profits are going to go to them. So she's really about self-managing those, you know, and that doesn't mean that like you couldn't have an assistant that you give that, you know, information to if it gets too much, but like at the beginning, just keeping that money in your pocket.
Yeah, for sure. And like setting up cleaning and all of that. So I've been in like Memphis investors, like Facebook groups, and there's all people that post and advertise that they do Airbnb cleaning and they do, you know, all these things. So I'm like, okay. And actually a few of the comps that I used to buy my property to what they would sell for, they're Airbnbs now. And they're all within like this little area. It's so close to downtown. It's so close to Midtown. It's like a few blocks away from this strip with like bars and restaurants. So I think it's in a really good area. I got like the AirDNA.co subscription. So I'm like analyzing the zip code and the metrics, all that, you know, occupancy rate. So I'm figuring it out, and I'm just having like a really open mind and just like trying to feel really excited about learning something new instead of feeling scared, like, oh, well, what if, like, or I don't know how to do it. I'm just trying not to think that way about it. I'm just trying to think like, this is so exciting. This is going to be so much fun. I'm going to learn so much.
Yeah, I love that. Okay. So with that said, what do you think's been the biggest determiner for you on dealing with the fear? Because to step into an industry or in real estate investing in general is scary. To have your money on the line is scary. To owe other people money is scary. And I think that you have a beautiful way of dealing with it. What do you think works best for you?
Well, thank you. I really appreciate that. It took a long time for me to shift my mindset. It is all about your mindset. You have to really like dig deep and think about the shift, like how you look at things and how you can like rephrase questions better in your mind. Like sometimes if I'm having a really bad day where I'm really in my head, I write down like, what am I feeling? And then I just write down like, I'm feeling scared. I'm feeling nervous. I'm feeling overwhelmed. And then I ask myself the question, what thoughts are making me feel this way? So then it's like, well, what if it doesn't sell? What if my Airbnb doesn't rent out? What if I go over budget? Like all these what ifs, all these thoughts that are causing those feelings of being scared. And then I just rephrase it. How do I want to feel? And then I write down all the feelings that I want to feel. I want to feel happy. I want to feel excited. I want to feel fearless. I want to feel courage. And then, well, what thoughts will help me feel that way? So your Airbnb is going to do great. You're going to get to decorate it. You're going to get to make it look so pretty. You're going to have a really fun experience. You're going to be able to film yourself, doing this Airbnb setup, and it's going to be new content for your Instagram. Like you just have to rephrase your thoughts a lot of the time because your thoughts create your feelings and then your feelings inspire your actions. So however you're feeling, that's how you're going to act, and if you're feeling better and you're thinking those better thoughts, then your actions will follow and you'll be able to follow through with all of the things that you want to do. You can accomplish anything you want.
I love that. And I think that your Instagram absolutely reflects your thought process in that, because I think you just like mic dropped the combat of fear. And I don't know who taught you that or where you learned that, but it's such a beautiful message going in to something that could tear you up inside, because of your own thoughts. And most of the time, people that have the ability to do this are a little bit controlling, and we don't really like things out of our control. And this is absolutely a business where everything is out of your control. And 100%. So I think you have to really mature and grow in your ability to manage your kind of innate, person of like, everything's out of my control and I'm used to controlling it. And that's why like accounting, it's so controlled, right? Everything is within your control and it's within your spreadsheet and it all works together perfectly and you can balance it down to the penny. And so stepping into an industry that really stretches you, I think it's so cool that you leaned into it and just like stepped up to be able to how to deal with that. Staying in accounting, you would have never learned that lesson.
Yeah, it's so funny. The listeners aren't able to see this, but I'm just smiling and nodding my head because everything you're saying is resonating so hard with me. I am someone who loves everything to be orderly, everything to go according to plan, to be in control, to make things work out, to like not step outside that comfort zone. So actually who I learned the whole mindset thing from is her name is Brooke Castillo. She is the creator of the Life Coach School, and she has a podcast that's called The Life Coach School. And I started listening to the podcast by chance, and it changed my life forever. It changed the way that I look at the world and the way that my mind works. So if you're looking, anybody listening is having that fear or struggling with their mindset on things, I highly recommend the Life Coach School podcast with Brooke Castillo, because if I ever meet her in life, like I owe my whole life change to her, because I would never be here without her in my ear telling me like, you can do anything you want. And I always tell my husband, I'm like, Brooke says I could do it, so I'm going to do it.
And my best friend Brooke said I could do it.
Yeah, my best friend Brooke said I could do it, so I can. Yeah, and then like stepping into this, like all of the control is like, not where you're feeling comfortable with it. It's
right,
all
out of your
you're so
out
uncomfortable.
Of your comfort.
Yeah, so it's controlling your controllables, control what you can control, and like doing your best with the rest, and just getting okay with that feeling, because it's really not going to go away. It's part of being in business for yourself. Anybody who has their own business knows that feeling where you're putting yourself out there and you're dealing with things that you're not comfortable with. So it's just, getting used to that feeling and thriving off of it, pushing yourself when you know that you're like scared anyway, just feeling the fear and doing it anyway. I love saying that.
Absolutely. Did you ever think, like looking back like a year from now or even 2 years ago, that you would be doing this? Like, could you have ever imagined that?
No, I could have never imagined it. I was kind of like not feeling good with accounting, and I was just having this day where I didn't have a lot going on at the office. And I'm like, let me take these like personality tests or like whatever, like all these tests that you could take to figure things out about yourself. And I kept like getting results that were saying entrepreneur. And I was like, no, I'm like, that seems too stressful. I can never do that. How are you just like in charge? How do you just wake up every day and you know what to do for your business? I feel much more comfortable just taking orders from somebody else and doing my little thing on the computer. So it always seemed so crazy to me for like somebody to have the courage to go out and do their own thing and start their own company. So I never, ever would have thought that I would be here right now. But, everything happens for a reason. And this was my time. It happened when it was supposed to. It wouldn't have happened if we didn't move to Texas. I'll tell you that. If we would have stayed in New York, I would have kept doing accounting. I did love where I worked. When it came time for us to have kids, they probably would have said, work from home. And that just would have been it.
Yeah. Well, I'm like so incredibly proud of you for just taking the leap and having the faith in doing it and just, conquering the biggest part of being an entrepreneur, which is absolutely 100% how you think and what you do with those thoughts. I think it's just incredible that is what you've, out of anything, if you like learn nothing else like that. That alone is like one of the, that's going to change the trajectory of your future children, that you're able to teach your kids from a young age that like, guess what? Like, we don't think this way, That's such a cool thing that you've, at your age been able to grasp. So what's next for you? Like, what do you see kind of on the horizon? The market has shifted, and I was just listening to the podcast yesterday on Bigger Pockets with Avery Carl, who's a short-term shop girl. And they were really like advocating for like BRRRR method and, creative financing and long-term holds and then short-term. And really their basis was, we have been waiting for this time, like for years upon years, where something is actually on sale. Like, in the last 2-3 years, there has been nothing on sale. You've been competing with other buyers, 12 offers on stuff, 100,000 over asking, completely removing contingencies. And it was cool to hear their excitement, even though everybody else is pissed that the, inflation and the interest rates are rising, how excited they were to have deals where they could negotiate and to not fall into the mindset of everybody else in the world that thinks that this is just the worst thing that could ever happen in the entire world, that they were like, this is the best and we are having so much fun. And I just loved that shift of like, we're real estate investors. Like, you can't fall into that trap of thinking how everybody else thinks when the market is changing. So how are you feeling about it?
Yeah, I feel really good about it, actually. I mean, aside from the fact that I'm a real estate investor, me and my husband are also living in an apartment because the housing, it was just crazy. So I'm excited to buy our own house now that the competition is dropping. And then also just with real estate investing, I think, like you said, it's going to bring up like great deal opportunities. And I feel like a lot of people that maybe have got into real estate investing within the last like year or maybe like year and a half, everyone has been successful because like prices just keep going up. It was very easy to get in and very easy to do well because of the skyrocketing house prices. Like, everything kept going up. So everybody was making money. And I feel like if you know how to analyze your deals really well and you know how to run your numbers really well, there is no market that's going to be bad for you because you're always going to run your numbers the right way. Yeah. So just getting better deals, staying true to how you run your numbers, maybe being a little more strict, like running your comps, only using the last like few months as comps instead of the last 6 months as comps, just things like that to get your numbers a little tighter, a little more accurate. But I'm very excited to do the Airbnb because I feel like if I get a handle on how to do like the rental side and then also doing the flips, I could do a combination of the both and then just be really successful that way. And then another cool thing that I've been researching is Airbnb arbitrage, which is like a whole nother thing
What's
is like
that? I don't even know what that
is. So Airbnb arbitrage is when you don't buy the property. So it's not great for building wealth, but it is very good for cash flow. So you don't buy the property. Let's say you find a really good apartment complex in like a major city that's like right by, a football stadium that a lot of people travel to, whatever. It's a great place to do an Airbnb. You convince the leasing manager to let you lease an apartment and then you Airbnb the apartment. So it's low entry cost because all you need to pay is the first month's rent and the cost of furnishing it. And then it immediately starts cash flowing. And then if you ever wanted to stop, you just end your lease and you stop paying it. It's
Right.
not like you have to sell it, and it doesn't come with the whole rehab. If you want to do BRRRR method, that takes a little bit longer. It takes a little bit more money. It's a little bit riskier. So this is low risk, low entry fee, and quick cash flow.
Yeah.
So it's a whole nother thing that I just recently started looking into that I'm like, oh my gosh, whoever thinks of these things, they're so smart.
Right. And I'm sure you have to figure out, do you obviously let the landlord know, right? That you're going to be.
So you would have, and you could even give them like a little percentage of it.
Yeah.
Or
to allow you to do it.
Yeah. Or you could do single family homes that are for rent. And you
say,
could Airbnb the whole house and you approach the landlord. This is my business plan. This is my approach. I can give you this much out of the profits extra. And then it's better for the landlord too, because they have it rented.
Yeah. They don't have to worry about it. That's a great idea. I love that. Yeah. And then you're just able to start cash flowing and collecting your money. And then you can go and, invest it elsewhere where you have some sort of long-term plan or a fix and flip or something like that. So exactly. I love it.
All exciting things.
Yes, absolutely. So do you have any set goals for, next 6 months, year? How are you feeling?
I'm feeling really good. My goal initially when I started my company was in my first year to try and do 6 flips. So it was a big goal, but I'm all about big goals. Don't change your goal until the day that it ends. Keep pushing. Even if it's that last day and you only have tomorrow to hit your goal, just keep pushing until the very end. So my goal was to do 6 flips and to make 300 grand. That was what I wrote when I first started everything. So I'm still pushing for that. I have my second house is in the Pittsburgh market, Pittsburgh, Pennsylvania. And that one, the prices in Pittsburgh are going up still.
Oh, wow.
It is a very good market. My after repair value, what I was planning to sell it for when I ran my numbers was $375. So I bought that one for $189, and that one was 100 grand rehab. And then the resale was supposed to be $375. So I always check, what's for sale around it. There's 3 houses for sale right around mine that are direct comps, and they're all listed for $500,000.
Oh my gosh.
So I think this one is going to be.
You're yes, I retire.
I'm done. I did it.
I've accomplished. That feels so good. I'm so proud of you. And I really hope that goes well. Is there any other advice or nuggets of information you would want to give the listeners if somebody was interested in just kind of jumping in? Because I love, even there's a newness to what you're doing. You also have a lot of confidence and you took the steps. And there's so many people. I think for so many years, my husband was I wanted to flip a house, and I was I'm busy, leave me alone. Because I know I'm going to have to end up doing it and managing it, because he's the beautiful idea person. And I'm get the things done. And so I think that there's always just that idea out there that you want to do something. And I think you just doing it speaks such huge volumes about who you are. And I think so many people just kind of sit on the fence. Did you, I guess, you can answer that question, but I was just wondering, did you quit your job before and then it was all in, or did you wean off it? Because I know you moved, but I didn't know if there was some sort of transition, because I think when people are working, when I was busy, I didn't really have time, or I didn't really make time, I guess is probably the more necessary answer to that question, because I was busy and I didn't think about my wealth. I didn't think about my retirement. I didn't think about anything going forward. And it wasn't until my husband really pushed me into it and I kind of got bit by the bug that I started actually analyzing deals and doing stuff. So is there any tidbits of information within that, your experience that might be helpful to somebody?
Yeah. So not to say that everybody has to quit their job to do it. That just happened to be the case for me because we moved. I quit my job, we moved, and I said, I'm not stepping foot in another accounting office. This is what I'm going to do now. But going for it, I think the biggest thing to start is to get your mindset right. I think doing that mindset work and reframing your perspective of the world is super, super important when taking a big step like this. Because I think people need to realize there is so much money in the world. There is so much money and they just keep making more of it. It's not going away. It's out there. So why not do something you love, figure out how to get some of it, like take it. It's there for the taking. Like there's people with so much money that it will blow your stinking mind. And everyone just thinks, well, I'll just work a job and this will be my salary and that's good. But like good compared to what? Like good compared to your parents or good compared to your friends or good compared to the people that you surround yourself with. But if you were hanging out with people that were making millions of dollars every year, then like if you had $100,000 salary, you'd be like, oh, this isn't good. Like I want what they have. There's always a next step. And you never know that next step until you really like see what's out there. There's so many ways to make money. There's so many different things, not just real estate investing, but real estate investing is just the path that I chose. And once you have your mindset right and you realize that there's opportunity out there, the only person who's going to be able to go and get that for you is you. Would you rather win $1 million or would you rather learn how to make $1 million? Like for me, I want to learn how to make $1 million because if it was ever taken away from me, I could do it again. I can make $1 million again. So I feel like that is the most important step. And then second, just being confident in yourself, really being honest with yourself about what you're capable of handling, doing like an inventory check, like, okay, what do I need to do to make my goals happen? Write it all down. If you need to make very small lists and you want to do this month, do this that month, do this that month, like do what feels good for you. And the most important thing is to just go for it, because the worst that could happen is that you're not going to succeed right away, but every failure is a learning experience. So if you don't succeed the first time, you learn so much, figure it out again, go for it again, like do something different. Right. There's not always just one how to make your dreams come true. There is a million hows. And if one how doesn't work, you try another how. Like I was expecting to sell this first flip. And that was my how. In my head, I only had one how. And then when I wasn't getting the offers that I wanted and everybody was like giving me these creative finance deals, I'm like, well, everybody wants to rent this then. All these people are looking at as an investment property. So why don't I figure out another how? There's not just one how. There could be 7 hows for everybody. So get your mindset right. Do the work yourself, like put in the hours, learn, listen, read, figure out as much as you can, and then just go for it and don't look back, because if you fail, it's just a learning experience. Take a turn, go another way. There's always another way to make it work.
Oh, beautifully said. You are just a joy and just an incredible person. And I love surrounding myself with people that look at the world the way you do, and the people around you are lucky to have you.
Oh, thank you so much. Thank you. That means a lot.
Absolutely. Well, thank you again, Giovanna. Can you tell people where they can find you and follow you and just get inspired by you?
Yeah. So I'm on Instagram now officially. I'm a little bit new to the Instagram world, trying to figure out how the reels work, trying to figure out the algorithm. I don't really know.
Do any of us really?
Yeah. You could find me at she.invests.co. So she.invests.co.
Awesome. And that was like another thing that we were like, oh my gosh, I'm She Builds and you're She Invests. We have to be friends.
It was fate. I got the goosebumps. I was like, what is happening? We're on a plane. You're a real estate investor. I'm a real estate investor. You're She Builds. I'm She Invests. Like, what is happening?
Right? The world was meant to collide. It was just incredible.
It was.
Well, you are going to do incredible things. And as always, like any questions, even about your Airbnb thing, I am so happy to help. I will let you log into my Airbnb, see how I set it up so where I can self-manage it. Honestly.
Yeah, I'm going to be texting you, I'm sure.
Yes, I'm absolutely, because it took me a while to figure it out, and it's working, and I've got it working, and I've kind of figured out how to do it. And so if any tips that I can give you, honestly, let me know. I don't want you to flounder at all. And I know you're going to be successful, and I can't wait to talk to you in like a year from now and see what's happening.
Oh my gosh. Thank you so much. I appreciate you having me. I appreciate the support. I'm definitely going to be reaching out, I'm sure, within the next month or so with questions. So
absolutely,
you'll hear from me again soon.
Yes. Okay. I'll talk to you soon. Thank you so much.
Okay. Thanks, Stephanie. Bye.
Bye. Thanks for joining me today on the She Builds Show. My name is Stefanie Olson. My hope is that this episode leaves you feeling empowered and ready to boldly take that step into building the life that you envision, 1 2x4 at a time. And if you can do me a quick favor, please leave me a 5-star review on iTunes. I get giddy over reading the reviews each week, and I will choose one special person to win some She Builds swag. Make sure you add your name to the review, and I'll reach out if you're the winner. Thanks again for hanging out. Be sure to visit me at theshebuildshow.com, where you can ask me questions and share with me what you're building.